flashes. You were the only one. Hey, it's cut different. Florida Gulf Coast is on the way. It should be just a minute. Hicks and Johnson. We are now ready to begin the Florida Gulf Coast press conference. This time we'd like to ask Coach Dooley to please make an opening statement.
First thing I'd like to do is congratulate Coach Williams and North Carolina on a terrific effort, and I thought that the start of the second half obviously dictated the result. Really proud of our guys. I thought we played as hard as we could. We had a boneheaded start to the second half, but I thought our effort was tremendous, and really proud of the guys. And I think looking at some things, I think Carolina's a team that, looking down the road, can contend for a national title. There's a reason they're so good, and but I'm proud of our guys' effort and compliment Carolina for their effort.
All right, at this time, we're going to open the floor up for questions for the student athletes. Once again, this segment is for student athletes, questions only. Christopher, can we get a microphone here on the aisle?
Dana Caldwell, Naples Daily News. Christian and Mark Eddy, you guys must have been feeling really good at the half. Very competitive half. Actually, they had a 9, 11-point lead in there somewhere, and it looked like they had a chance to knock you out in the first half, and you guys really hung in there. How was the mood in the locker room at the half?
Christian, if you could answer that first, please, and then Mark Eddy.
We were excited. We played a good half at the beginning, and we just knew we had to keep up the intensity to come out with a win, and we couldn't do that.
Just like Christian said, we played a great first half, and we made a few big mistakes in the beginning of the second half that kind of cost us, and we just kept playing from behind, and it was pretty hard to do.
Okay, we're going to go here, and then we'll go over here.
R.J. Rowan, Naples Herald. Christian, Marchetti, the first few minutes, was there any sort of surprise or shock with the size and length of North Carolina?
Mark Eddy, could you go first this time, please?
I'm long myself, so it wasn't no surprise there, and I think I'm fairly tall, but they were a lot bigger than I expected too, because when I watch them on TV, everybody look proportionate to each other, but when you're right next to them, maybe they're a little bit longer than they appear on TV. But it was a great competitive game, and they were pretty big.
Christian, could you comment, please?
Yeah, they were as big as we thought they were. They were everywhere on the court, and they seemed to block everything. I think Johnson had 8 blocks, I think, and they just controlled the paint.
Let's go here in the middle.
You guys never lack for confidence. Seth Softy in Fort Myers News Press. You guys never lack for confidence, but you seem to have a certain calm and poise about you. Can you talk about that belief that you guys had, that you were going to get this done? Christian, that first three-pointer, you just took your time and buried it. Can you both address that?
Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, the first 3 kind of gave me a little bit of confidence going into the game, but we just know that if we make the right plays and we play the right way, we can compete with anybody, and we showed that in the first half, and we made mistakes in the second half, so we couldn't show that in the second half.
Mark Eddy.
Just as Christian said, you always have to believe in yourself. You have to think about it. All of us are Division I athletes, so we believe in ourselves. We work just as hard as they do. You just have to make the right plays every time, and then we'll give ourselves the best chance.
Back on the aisle here.
To both of you, please. Joe said coming in that this is a really good opportunity. This is NCAA tournament for you guys, you young guys, and wanted things to build on for the future. And obviously, both of you guys are back. You just lose 2 seniors. So how do you feel coming out of this for the future?
Mark Eddy, could you please go first?
I feel pretty good. Now we see that we can't make stupid mistakes. We just have to play hard at all time and give it all we got, because we see what we need to do now, playing with a number 1 seed, and see what it takes.
Christian?
We're very blessed to be here, and this is one of those feelings and experiences that you want to come back every year, and you're just hungry to get back, and I think that's what we're going to be in the off season, and I think we'll be back.
Let's go right here.
Hey, this is for Christian. Neil Amato from the Naples Daily News. You said North Carolina was big, they were everywhere, yet, your line, personally, 7 assists, 1 turnover. How did you feel about the way you played, handled their depth and size?
Well, I think they were helping up a little bit on my drives, so I found the open guys, and I just tried to make the right play, and it just worked out in my favor this game.
Back in the middle.
They kept trying to separate from you guys in the first half, and they would push it, and then you guys answered every time. Did you see the response in their faces at all, a little bit of surprise at all that you guys weren't going away?
Mark Eddy, could you answer that?
Yeah, I could say that, because I don't think they expected us to come and compete at the level we did, and then once they saw that, you saw the second half, they brought it up a notch, and we made a stupid mistake that put us in the hole.
Let's go here, and then we'll get you.
Jonathan Alexander with the News and Observer. What mistakes were they making in the first half, or what were you guys doing well that made y'all be so successful?
Christian, could you handle that?
We were playing team ball in the first half. We were making plays for each other, and in the second half, we were trying to play hero ball, like Coach said. And yeah, that's about it. We were playing selfish, I think.
On the aisle.
You guys actually out-rebounded them tonight. I think coming in, you guys would have really taken that. What was it like hitting the boards against these guys? It was very, very physical inside tonight. Both of you, just what was it like in there under the boards fighting for rebounds?
Marquetti, could you go first, please?
It was pretty physical. We just knew that we couldn't let up any second because they're a very good rebounding team, so we made sure we box out every time and go and get the ball at the highest peak.
Christian?
They were, like I said before, they were everywhere, but we just tried to match their effort and match their intensity, and we did that today in the boards.
Other questions for the student athletes? All right, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. All right, at this time, we'll take questions for Coach Dooley. Let's start right there.
Joe, philosophically, how proud are you of what everything that you guys have been working for displayed itself in the first half? All the classic fundamental pure basketball stuff working very well.
Well, I thought the guys, we played hard. I have no problem. We have no problem with our effort, and the guys competed, played as hard as they could, and lost to a better team. And that's, we can analyze and study it, but they're terrific, and our guys played as hard as they could. We just got worn down.
Going on the aisle here.
Joe, just if you would briefly comment on the season overall, and then, you guys grew a lot this season. And then, again, you said coming into this would be a great experience to build on for the future. And just how do you feel about this tonight, and how do you feel about, starting next season?
So bad about tonight, you don't want the season to end. It's always miserable when the season ends, but you'll take a week or so and look around. We got a lot of young guys. Hopefully it's a learning experience for them see what it takes. You can't play one way for a little bit and then all of a sudden do it. Now, part of that is not part of it, most of that is attributed to Carolina. I mean, when you come out and, you're trying to explain to these guys, he is 6'11", he is 6'11". It's not a media guide misprint, and he's very athletic, and when you get to the lane, there's another one behind him. And I think what North Carolina does a great job of doing is they just wear at you. They've got 4 great posts. They've got 4, they've got depth on the perimeter. And hopefully the young guys will understand that you've got to get in the weight room, you've got to get stronger, you've got to get bigger, and learn from this going into next season.
Other questions for Coach Dooley? Over here, right there.
Joe, from your remarks and from Marquetti and Christian earlier, it sounds like you guys feel like the game got away from you in the second half. It's not very common that a 16 seed gets to say that against a 1.
Well, I'm sure Coach Williams challenged them at halftime, and we came out. We had 14 turnovers, but it just wasn't the turnovers. Some was our shot selection in the second half. It was like live ball turnovers. I mean, we ran in there on first sides instead of getting the ball to a third side or getting the ball reversed. We came down and went early, and that's when the game really got away. I thought was when we stopped running offense. They scored, and we tried to come back and score quicker than they scored, and that put us in harm's way. You can't give them transition, and when you shoot bad shots and they block it, and next thing you know, it's a 3-point play the other way, and some of those shots weren't turnovers, but they should have been.
Let's go back on the aisle, and Casey, could you get Neil?
Yeah, Joe, could you comment? I thought Christian had a really nice game today. He had some fantastic assists, I thought. Could you comment on Christian? And Trey gave you a big lift tonight.
Trey's played well at the end of the year. I mean, he's really been a factor, and unfortunately for us, he puts himself in harm's way with some cheap fouls. He can't head. He fouled on a rotational deal when he shouldn't have fouled, and then he hip checked the kid on a ball screen, which wasn't part of the play. I mean, we've got to get him to where he can play 25 minutes at an effective rate. He's really gotten good in the post. He's scoring more effective. His field goal percentage has gone up, and he's a sophomore. So hopefully there'll be a jump from his sophomore to his junior year, just like Christian.
Could you also comment on Christian and Marquetti tonight?
Yeah, I thought once Marquetti figured out how tall Carolina was, and he faced up and played facing a little bit more, I thought he was a little bit effective. He had a couple open shots he didn't make, but I thought for the most part he played well, and I thought Christian was aggressive, especially in the first half, downhill drives, and for the most part found guys open. That's why he had a career high in assists tonight.
Let's get Neil here, and then we'll go there.
You kind of touched on my question, which is about Christian. You mentioned his career high in assists. His season assist turnover ratio was about 1.5 to 1, but today 7 to 1. What do you attribute that to, him seeing? And then also, what would you like for him to work on for next year?
He's got very good vision. I think he has a tendency to dribble it one too many times. I think he'll improve at that next year. I mean, he'll see something, he'll take one more to try to get a little bit closer. If Christian can put on 15 pounds of muscle, there's no telling how much further he can take his game. I think it would help a lot of things because, first of all, I think it would help his confidence. I think it would help him not get worn down. He's a $175, soaking wet, if that. And I think, if he can do those things, I think he can take another jump. You look at the jump he made from his freshman to sophomore year, I think he can make another jump, and I hope he does.
Going back in the middle there.
Speaking of next year, you've got 2 guys who are on redshirt this year who become eligible, and you got 3 freshmen that we know of coming in. It'll be the first time you'll have 13 guys available, at least on paper now starting. Can you just talk about the prospect of having the experience and that array of bodies, all of the style that you like, and what that could mean for this, this program?
Hopefully this is a learning, deal for our program and our guys, and it'll create competition in practice. I mean, you can imagine, you can see, and one of the reasons North Carolina's so good is because when you've got those type of guys in practice every day and you're competing against them every day, you got 2 ways to go. Either you compete and get better, or you get left behind. And I think it's a great lesson to learn. If you want to be a competitor, you have to go every day and practice and play against the guy in front of you and take his spot or let him take yours. And our guys will hopefully learn that, and we've got enough depth going into the year that it'll be very competitive.
Back over here.
You talked about Trey developing in the post, especially in the latter half of the season. Between him, between Johnson, between Terrell, is there any one player that you think improved the most from the start of the season to today?
I would have to say Zach, because here's a young man. I mean, Trey got to practice. Here's a young man that a year ago was not able to. Everybody says he redshirted. He shot free throws. I mean, he couldn't practice, couldn't shoot, couldn't do anything with movement involved. And you take him, guy sat out a year, and now you put the ball in his hands here. Make good decisions and get the other 4 guys involved in your freshman, and you haven't played in a year. So you look from December on, his assist-turnover ratio, the way he scored. Obviously, he saved us in several games, and I think he'll make a big jump from this year to next year because he's seen it all now. And the game will slow down a little bit for him, and we're excited to have him for another 3 years. Very excited.
Back in the middle here.
Should people expect to see Fgcu back in the Ncaa tournament next year, maybe as a better seed?
You know what? We'll line up tomorrow and figure out tomorrow, and we'll line up next year and try as hard as we can again. I mean, it's like I tell you guys, it's and you guys know it's hard to get here. I mean, there's teams throughout the country, other good teams. There's 68 of us, and we'll line up again next year and try as hard as we can.
Any other questions? All right, Coach, thank you very much. The North Carolina press conference will start shortly. Florida Gulf Coast is walking out. I'm sorry, what was that? We're now ready to start the University of North Carolina press conference. Just 2 notes very quickly. Bryce Johnson's 8 blocks today were the most ever by a Tar Heel in the NCAA tournament. With the victory today, Coach Williams has passed Coach Smith. He now has 66 victories in the NCAA tournament, and he is now second on the all-time list. At this time, we'd like to ask Coach Williams to please make an opening statement.
Well, we're very fortunate. First half, we didn't play very well at all. It's one of the worst halves we've played all year long, but the first 10 minutes of the second half, we were really, really good. It was like a 26-6 or 25-7, something like that run that was really important to us, to say the least. Late in the game, we started sort of meandering around instead of getting a lot accomplished, but every time they drove it in there, Bryce blocked so many shots around the basket. Needless to say, that was huge for us. But for us, we feel very good to still be here. We'll try to make this press conference as quick as we possibly can so you can get what you need and get it back out and watch the second game, and so can we.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up. We're questions for the student athletes only at this point. Questions for the student athletes. Can we start right in front here?
For either one of the guys, how big was it to come out and start the second half, that first 5 minutes, and kind of jump on them and kind of establish dominance in the second half?
Isaiah, could you please answer that for us?
It was very big because we was highly disappointed in the way we played the first half. And then we take pride in we supposed to take pride in that defense, and it didn't work out that way. Come out the first half, Marcus hit a big shot. That fueled us. After that, the intensity was picked up. That's a great feeling. When we get out there and get in transition, do the stuff that we do, it's good.
Okay, we're going back on the middle here.
Jonathan Alexander, News and Observer. This question is for Bryce. It seemed like after every block, after every N1, you seemed to get meaner and meaner. What was your mindset like throughout this game?
Well, we started off the game very flat. Very disappointed in the way we played, and that's what I do. I just usually after I get a play like that, and the momentum was swinging, and the first and one I got, I just had to let it go. Just had to let it yell out. And Coach knows that's what I do. That's what I do. So just second nature to me now.
Okay, we're going to go back, and then we'll get you on the aisle.
For either one of you guys, what was the mood like in the locker room at halftime? What was said there?
Bryce, could you answer that, please?
The mood was very, very disappointing. We're very disappointed in the way that we played. You allow a team like that to shoot 60% in the first half. You can't help but be mad about that. It was just an all-around frustrating game. Guys had their heads down, and it was a bad scene. We just had to get the bad taste out of our mouth and just come out and just be ready to play. Because we're fortunate enough to be only up 1, and we could have been down a lot more than the way the game was going.
Questions for the student athletes? Okay, we go on that side.
Just for both players, as a follow to that, what was your coach's mood at halftime, and what did he have to say?
Isaiah, could you please go first?
It was very upset and disappointing because, we showed what we can do, especially in the ACC tournament. And coming from that, big win, he expected us to come from, to play like that from the start, and then just for us to come out flat, really playing not to our level and playing the way we showed we can play, it was very disappointing. I know it had to be frustrating for him.
Bryce, could you comment?
Yeah, he definitely was upset. He was probably turning pink more than any time I've ever seen him. So, it was, like I said, it was disappointing all around. All the coaches were upset, and he was very flustered about it. And even Coach Davis, Coach Davis didn't even say anything to us at halftime. He was so mad. So, the mood was very disappointing, just like Isaiah said, after the way that we played great defense in the entire ACC tournament. They all expected us to just be able to come out and be ready to play. And that's what we didn't do. And they have every right to be pissed off at us about it.
Okay, back in the middle again.
Isaiah, here toward the end of the season in the tournaments, you've really come around, sort of, grown your game the last few games. Just talk about what kind of groove you're in right now.
I keep my mindset the same, just be aggressive, do anything I can to help the team out. Coach always told me, just come out there, be aggressive, attack, and it works. So just keep doing it, and it works. That's it.
All right, now we're up front here.
For either one, you guys never seem to have gotten comfortable despite having an 18, 20-point lead. At what point did you guys know that you had the game?
Bryce, could you answer that, please?
Just from the beginning of the second half. I mean, we started out the second half on a, what was the run? The 25 to 6, I think. I mean, after that point, I mean, we basically knew we had the game, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're still kind of mad at the way you played in the first half. You're not going to forget that, even though you're up 20. I mean, I'm still not satisfied at the way we played. I mean, even though we won by 20, I mean, we could still do a lot better. We could have definitely played a lot better and won by a lot more than what we did.
We're going to go way back in the corner.
Coach Williams, what is
I'm sorry, right now we need to take questions for the student athletes.
Okay. For Bryce, you seem to have a little frustration out there toward Kennedy, if I was seeing that the right way.
I mean, there were a couple plays where he just didn't jump. I mean, he was right there under the basket, and all he had to do was just jump a little bit. I mean, it's just kind of frustrating because, I mean, you want to be able to make those easy ones like that. I mean, I know he's kind of frustrated about it, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to convert those because, I mean, those do add up throughout the course of the game. And I know that I missed a couple myself, but in clutch moments like that, and you have the ball in your hands that close to the basket, you just got to be able to convert those.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Right here.
Just for Isaiah. I know you guys, don't pay attention to the crowds or anything like that, but the Florida Gulf Coast fans were pretty loud in the first half. The team was feeding off their energy. How rewarding for you guys was it in the second half to hear your crowd behind you guys and hear the Tar Heel chant late in the second half when you guys were taking over?
It was very good. I mean, that's what I think our advantage was, playing close home. It was like a home game. When Marcus hit that 3, you heard the whole gym. The crowd, they got into it. It just helps with our momentum, to bring us energy and stuff like that.
Are there other questions for the student athletes? All right, gentlemen, thank you very, very much, and congratulations. All right, we'll start with Aaron back there, and then we'll come get you.
Coach, of all the things that happened in the first half, what was it that maybe had you the most frustrated or angry with how your team played?
Oh, it's 50 things. We talked about trying to do a better job on stopping their dribble penetration, but we'd have one guy help, and the other 3 guys would be standing out 15 to 20 feet just watching. And so they'd penetrate, and we'd come over and help, and then they'd drop down to the other guy because we never had a third guy involved. The old saying, every time the ball moves, 5 guys on defense should move, and every time the ball moved in the first half, we had 2 guys moving, the other 3 guys standing there waiting and watching. That was probably the most frustrating, but also to be out rebounding by 7 at halftime when we tried to say that's the key point of the game, that didn't make me feel very good either.
Okay, I forgot I need one back there, and then I'll get you.
Coach Williams, what has Kenny Williams been giving you so late in the season for him to get early playing time at this point of the season?
He's really gotten better and better and better defensively. He started out pretty good, but I really have gotten a great deal of confidence in what he does on the defensive end of the floor. At the half, I didn't want Joel Berry to get his second foul, so we took him out the last couple of minutes. And, Kennedy was struggling a little bit, so we went small, probably earlier than I have been recently. And Theo had 2 fouls, and Justin Jackson had 2 fouls. So I tried to get them out, and we just ran out of perimeter players was part of it too. But I am very confident in Kenny defensively.
And is that based on his production in practice
or
what you've seen in games?
No, I mean, if you don't do it in practice, you don't get in the game. So it's what he's been doing in practice every day.
Okay, we're over here now, Coach.
Roy, I don't know how often you run set plays to start at half, but how much thought went into that, and was there a feeling that it was really important to get a basket to start the second half?
Well, a lot of people say first 4 minutes, last 4 minutes. I've never really felt that way. I think you got to play the whole game. We've on a streak here recently where we've played really well to end the first half. And we were terrible today, but we started out playing well early in the second half. We ran a set play just because I knew it was probably going to end up with Marcus or Bryce getting a shot, and I wanted one of those 2 guys to get the shot.
Okay, let's go here, and then there, then you.
Coach Williams, certainly don't want to take anything away from your win. What impressed you about Coach Dooley, his team, how young they are, and what did you see out of them for 40 minutes at impressed you?
Well, I saw it even in their game against Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, we get so caught up in 1 or 16 or 2 and 15, all that. I just thought they were a really good basketball team. For a 16 seed, they had more size, athleticism, more inside scoring than you usually see from a team that's a 16 seed. Norelia, is that the way you pronounce his name? Norelia. He was awesome in the Fairleigh Dickinson game, and he was a problem for us. I mean, at halftime, he had 9 rebounds. My whole team had 14. And so I was impressed with them athletically and the way they penetrate to the basket. They're very unselfish, so they're a good basketball team.
Okay, let's go on the aisle there, and then we'll come.
The way you guys played in Washington, it seemed like you'd gotten what you'd done in the first half kind of out of your system or past the point where that was an issue or something you even worried about. How surprised were you to see that crop back up again? Was there anything that you saw pointing to that coming into the game?
No, but I think, different teams react differently. 1 versus 16 gets so much attention, and perhaps there was a little stress, everybody thinking it was going to be easy. I mean, you go back and look at the first half, we missed layups, we missed 2-footers. Isaiah missed one from 6 inches. Bryce missed one right there. So I think we were stressing a little bit. We also didn't do a very good job of playing the screen on the ball, so we changed it at halftime, and we took a 180-degree turn with the way we played the defense on the screen on the ball in the second half. And I think Marcus making a shot, and then let's get him coming down on the break and scoring the first 5 points. And then all of a sudden we were better defensively. But, I told them I've been around longer than everybody in here except 2 old guys sitting way over here, 3 counting Art there in the middle. I've been here longer than everybody else. 1982, North Carolina had a guy named Jordan, a guy named Worthy, and a guy named Perkins. In the first round of the NCAA tournament game in Charlotte, we blew out James Madison 52-50. And there was an offensive foul call right at the end of the game. So, the bye that you get at that point, I didn't know if it was a positive or not. The 1 versus 16, there's always a lot of stress on. But, Luke, I think for us, second half we got into it defensively a lot better and still didn't play nearly as well as we want to. I mean, Isaiah, somebody asked about Isaiah. I think that's probably Isaiah's worst game for us since the rocks cooled. But other than Kennedy, he didn't play very well today. But you got to get by some bad times.
We'll go here, and then we'll get Joe.
And I think you 3 old farts know who I'm talking to, too.
Coach, yesterday we talked about Bryce.
You don't have to print that. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine. Yesterday we talked about Bryce on the defensive end, and today he's made history. On your personal scale between Zero and Tyler Hansbrough, talk about Bryce's defense today.
Defensively in the first half, Bryce made a couple of good plays, even coming down and getting involved. But in the second half, his shot blocking around the rim was really important. I thought one of them possibly could have been a goaltending, but the other 6 were just sensational blocks. And he was really extremely important to us today and kept them from making a run at us when we did get the big margin.
Joe, do you have a question? Let's go there, and then we'll go back.
Coach, what do you take away from this game that you want to address going into the next round?
Well, we're still here is the first thing we take away. We're happy about that. Today's game won't have anything to do with the second game. We've got to hopefully get out there and watch a little bit of this game and see it, and go home and watch the tape and see if we can come up with a plan that will help us beat who plays in this game. I think you do build your momentum once you get in a tournament. And Coach Smith always believed that, and I understood what he was talking about, and I still believe it to this day. So hopefully we'll have a little better momentum than we had today.
We're going to go back here, and then we're going to go on the aisle behind you, Christopher.
Coach, speaking of Coach Smith, can you talk about the milestone and passing him in tournament wins?
It's a neat deal, guys, but I love to worship him. I'm nowhere near the coach that he is. Times have been a little more difficult the last 3 years than any time during my lifetime as a basketball coach. And so I've been enjoying this team and enjoying each milestone that they bring up. But it just means I've had a lot of good players and been around quite a while. I didn't become a head coach till 38. I don't see how anybody could still be doing this if I'd started at 25. I'd be in the grave. I'm glad I started late.
Okay, we'll get Art and then Kip, and then that'll be it.
This is one of the old guys getting ready to ask a question.
And thanks for the shout-out, Coach.
Yeah,
Appreciate
yes,
it.
sir.
Why is it that Kennedy doesn't jump?
I have no idea, because if I knew, I'd already changed it. Early in the season, he did get over that a little bit. He was more effective offensively. I think right now it's a big frustration, even though one of the times he shouldn't have shot it anyway. I told Tyler Hansbrough, you could shoot against a double team. I've never told anybody you could shoot against a triple team. And he pump faked about 17 times and spins, and there's 3 guys there guarding him, and he shoots it, and they play patty cake with it. So that one he shouldn't have even shot. But you got to explode up. It's a game of explosion. It's a game around the rim, and you can't play 2 feet below the rim and be effective inside. But I got a feeling that Kenny will be really, really good for us in 48 hours.
Kip, you get the last one.
This is one of the other old guys.
Thanks, Roy. Appreciate that. My understanding was that you encountered Tony Bennett in the hallway after their game and said something to him about his dizzy spell.
Don't believe everything you hear, because the bus was pulling up and we were on the bus, and I saw Tony walking to his bus, so it was way outside. And I told Steve Robinson, I said, go ahead and get him in there. I'm going to go check on Tony. And so I went over, almost got run over by one of the buses leaving, but I said, if a bus had hit me, please win one for Leroy. But I just went over to check on Tony. He said he was fine, and he said he was taking one of my chapters. I said, let's both stay away from that.
All right, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. And Barry, you know who the third old guy is?